in many cases, people are too quick to load up the bandwagon and too quick to jump off the bandwagon. That it's about what a team does during the course of 12 weeks that determines whether you're the Heisman Trophy winner or not. I mean, we got the Heisman watch after the first game of the season. Then that guy gets 100 yards less the next week and somebody else gets it, so we got the Heisman watch again. I mean, we ought to leave the doors to the bandwagon closed for about 6 or 7 weeks. Nobody can get on, nobody can get off, and then we'll find out who the guys who are having the truly outstanding seasons are and the teams that are having the truly outstanding. So a team like East Carolina gets off to a very nice start, loses a couple of games, which happens to most teams during the course of the year, and now everybody's slamming them. Some teams don't get off to such a good start, and everybody's like they stink. And let's just play the season and see how players and teams do. One, we take our reading that at this stage, the two most highly rated teams that they've played are Virginia Tech and West Virginia. Those are the teams that they beat and played their very best against. So we take our reading off of their performance against those two best teams as to what East Carolina is capable of. So we can see what the benchmark is for their performance, and clearly we have to aim at that and above that benchmark to be competitive in the game. They're built on speed. It's a speed-style offense, spread out all across the field, wide receivers who can run, quarterback who can run, 2 or 3 running backs who have real good speed. The tight end is a very good vertical player. It's definitely an offense built on speed and built for speed. And defensively, that's their game. They're not an overly large defense, so everything is built on speed, quickness, get to the ball, pass rush games rather than power moves, those type of things. Very dynamic player. Came out of the first 2 games having completed something like 82% of his passes. I mean, that's unreal. I mean, who completes 82% of their passes? That says a lot about why they were able to beat two well-thought-of teams in those 2 games. That's such a hot pace. It's pretty unrealistic to ask anybody to maintain that pace for 12 games. If they did, they'd go directly to the College Hall of Fame. But he's a multi-talented player. Obviously, at 82%, he can clearly throw the ball, and yet at the same time, he's number 3 on their team in rushing, behind 2 of their very good tailbacks. So he's a ball in the hands almost every play guy, and makes the decision whether to hand it off or keep it, or makes the decision who to throw it to, and clearly the catalyst for everything good that happens to East Carolina offense. As he's shown during his time here, Jeff has the capacity to be a playmaker for us, and that's one of the things that our team needs. It's one of the things that all teams need, is those guys who are capable of being playmakers to be playmakers. Those guys who can score, they got to score. They can't just play defense and rebound. Those guys who can knock runs in, they got to be the guys who knock the runners in. And it's the same thing on football teams. And so we know that Kevin is one of those players. Is he the first look all the time? Not necessarily. It depends upon the pattern that's called and where he fits in the pattern. There's some plays when he's on the backside where in a certain coverage he'll be the first look, and against another coverage the quarterback might not ever look over there. This is really a player who has been here for quite some time, but say, for example, has participated in quite a few less plays than, say, Rasai Dowling. Okay, Rasai is in his 2nd year here at Virginia. Denzel's in his 4th, and Rasai's played in a lot more games. Denzel's redshirted for a year, hurt his knee in the 2nd game of another year, played behind Diaz another year, really wasn't ready to contribute too much. So as veteran as he is in the program, he's not a veteran on the field. And he's as much a rookie at his position as some other players are. And so in that respect, His play has been progressively better throughout the 5 games. The last 2 games in particular, he's been pretty solid. Consider what his background is, that as a high school junior, he was a wide receiver and free safety. Got down a little closer to the line of scrimmage on occasion during his senior year, and particularly stood out at playing the 4 position on the Gonzaga 37-1 basketball team. So this whole idea of A, being a stand-up outside linebacker, and B, being a hand-on-the-ground, third down, nickel and dime rusher is a 100% transition from the way the rest of his athletic career has been. So it very much is on, as you say, on athletic ability and instincts, and there's quite a bit of coaching and learning and potential out in front of him. All of us, players and coaches, got to be ready on Saturday morning with a noon game. When you put your feet on the floor, it's time to get going. And last year, it was something like our first 4 games were noon games. So that's the way the season started. That was the norm. But if you're not careful, you can get lulled into getting used to, kind of get up, you get ready for the day, you start getting yourself mentally ready, you can build into it, concentrate on a few things, and then it's time to go to the stadium. This one here, you've really got to be ready to go. From our standpoint, from a staff standpoint, there's that 7-hour difference between noon and 7. There's a lot of things that, from review or focus or whatnot, that we can do, that we do, that are not available before a Saturday noon game. So it certainly is a different circumstance.